Hello, I'm John Felt, and this is the Midwest edition of the Weekly Water Outlook. Well, across the mid part of the nation last week, this is the rainfall over the last 7 days. You can see most of the region from the Dakotas, Kansas, Oklahoma, all the way up through Nebraska, western Iowa, large parts of Minnesota received very little rain at all. Now, there was a line of more significant rain from parts of Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, Missouri, and Arkansas on to the east. The green was about an inch of rain or so, and about an inch or two of rain. Yellow was nearing 2 inches, so it's generally below 2 inches of rain over that area. And we've seen that for quite some time now, this axis of more significant rain to the east of this line in this region and much drier to the west. And that's been one of these type of patterns we've seen for quite some time now. If we look at percent of normal rainfall over the past 7 days, areas in red are well below normal, as you might expect, with no rain whatsoever. That was 0% of normal for the week, and the vast majority of the middle part of the nation was below normal rainfall. But where that heavier rain fell, that inch or so, you can see the blue indicates above normal rainfall, and that was a much smaller area. As far as the drought monitors go, we still have a very large core of drought. I want to introduce a new drought index, the Standardized Precipitation Index, or SPI. This is over the last 60 days. Now, the drought monitor, when we come up with the drought monitor, that considers many different factors or impacts such as stream flow, soil moisture, agriculture, rainfall. The SPI is only a precipitation type parameter index, and what we see here is large parts of the Midwest are in that red, and that's saying over the last 60 days precipitation has been well below normal, and the SPI has been increasingly dry over large parts of the area. Now, this week I wanted to show the big picture, the setup across the nation. We have an area of low pressure over off the Pacific Northwest that's going to continue to stream moisture in that region with a flood threat over the Pacific Northwest. But pretty much for the week, what we have here is we only have really one change that's worth noting for the Midwest and the middle part of the nation, and that's early in the week the jet stream is this blue line, and later is the yellow line, and we're going to have a very weak impulse of energy embedded in that upper flow that's going to be moving from the southwest up to the northeast. That'll be towards the middle and latter part of this week. Now, depending on how strong that is, it's going to determine how much rain we have, how widespread rain or snow it would be. And right now it looks like it's going to be very weak and moving very, very quickly. Thus, amounts of rain are going to be very modest. And once again, they're going to be east of that area that we've seen that axis for quite some time. So large parts of the Great Plains aren't going to receive much rain, if any, for yet another week. Now, one of the factors, indices I'm going to be looking at as far as teleconnections will be the Arctic Oscillation. You might remember that it's been running negative. This is the zero line. It's been running negative for much of October into early November. It's been positive recently, and it looks like the models are indicating it's going to remain near neutral and perhaps go into a negative phase as we get into early part of December or maybe towards the end of the month. What I have here is the 6 to 10 day jet stream, and I wanted to point out is if we do go to negative again, you're going to see more of a digging trough over the eastern part of the nation. You're going to see this area here digging more, and this blue is indicating negative anomalies, and that means that it could be digging a little bit more towards the end of that 10-day range. On the west, positive. But in the middle part of the country, we basically have a west to east flow fairly quick. And in general, what I think that's showing is that any precipitation would be fairly light because it'd be a very fast-moving flow, and any systems in here will be weak. So I wanted to point out both for week 1 and also week 2, I really don't see much signs of all that significant rain over the Midwest. This is a numerical weather model, and it shows week 1 extremely dry. No rain whatsoever all the way through the Dakotas, Colorado, Kansas, most of Iowa, and Minnesota. We just have that one little axis of more significant rainfall from Oklahoma across Missouri and into Illinois. That's pretty modest as well. Now, week 2, there's a little bit more rain. I always point out that week 2 can flip-flop. I wouldn't get all that excited about this. And even if it does, look over the Midwest. It does not occur over the Midwest. So we're looking at most likely a 2-week period with week 1 well below normal rainfall and week 2 still below normal. Quick update as far as El Nino, La Nina, and so goes. It was updated just recently. Right now we're running, this is the current reading, a little bit above 0, so it's about 0.4, positive 0.4 degrees Celsius anomaly. And the models are in good agreement in keeping it neutral as we go through the winter months. And I know I've had a couple questions, or what are the odds of going into a La Nina? That's the area in blue. And during the winter months, hardly any chance at all, at least from these models. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it got down to -1 or so. That's a possibility. But to get down to much below that, to like say a -0.5, not likely at all. As a matter of fact, the probability of staying in a neutral range or above 70%. So what I'm going to look at is a lot more on persistence and on teleconnections this winter as I will on the ENSO, because that's more likely to be neutral, not give us a lot of hint as far as precipitation. So the soil moisture change, unfortunately for the Midwest, you can see these light amounts of brown. And this time of year, because it's very cool, you're not going to see drastic changes. But it does look like we're going to continue to dry out upper soils very slowly over the next week or so. This week, trends and threats. The trends is well below normal precipitation. I think it's going to average 25% or less. And matter of fact, I think much of the area here is going to be closer to 0, with the drought persisting over the next week and as we round out the month of November. So the takeaway, it's beginning to sound like a broken record, mainly dry, very dry this week, continuing soil moisture deficits. Later in the week, a modest chance of rainfall, but that's going to be mainly eastern parts of the middle part of the nation, and the main core of the Midwest looks like it's going to stay very dry. I urge you to subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I issue a lot of information throughout the week. I cover the big events such as snowmelt flooding later this year, early next year. And I also issue a newsletter dealing with climate and water each month, usually around the first of the month. For my subscribers, thank you for subscribing. I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And again, I really do want to sincerely thank you for being a subscriber to Blue Water Outlook. I will be updating this next Sunday. Thank you.